It's me, the DO Double G. Welcome to the Eden Army Podcast with your host tonight, Pete Robert Tucci. It's me, the DO Double G. Welcome to the Eden Army Podcast with your host tonight, Pete Robert Tucci.
Thanks, Snoop, for the double introduction. I appreciate you, brother. He's right. My name is Pete Robert Tucci, and this is the Eden Army Podcast. Let's see who we got in the house tonight, guys. Of course, Terry. I see Ed. Will, you made it. Good to go. Javi's in the house with me right now. Got Terry. Russ, of course, is in the back, tickling the keys, doing his thing. EA number one, and of course, Guy. And the Rev made it in time. Good job, Rev. Dan's here. Jeff, Chris, good to see you, brother. Hope everything's sweaty and humid down there in Florida for you. I know how that is. But, yeah, guys, we got a pretty interesting show tonight. We were originally only going to do Kick because, you know, my mouth gets about 3 minutes ahead of my brain sometimes. So I got to try to control stuff, right? So I said, listen, I better just go on Kick. That way I don't get banned from these other platforms. And then I thought to myself, I don't give a shit if I get banned or not. So we're going to do all three until we get down to some of the breakdown. And then we're going to go exclusively to Kick. So what a crazy week. And also I should mention that due to the news and the things that have going on this week, we're suspending the EMP series until next week. I hope you guys don't mind that, because I want to talk about some of these theories surrounding this Trump attempt. I want to tell you why I'm not going to get involved with these conspiratorial theories. And I'm also going to tell you why you shouldn't either. Not yet. Okay. There will be a time for that, but not right yet. And I also have to mention, since I'm on all three platforms, the opinions that you hear tonight are only mine. If you want to really hear my thoughts, make sure you go over to kick.com once I drop the two socialist platforms, and then you'll really know what I feel about that. So those opinions are going to come out at kick.com, but we're going to talk about some other stuff, but we're going to do it, Russ, right after these messages. Bullshit. Welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you. If you haven't noticed, my brother from another mother, Javi, is sitting by me. He's here visiting for a few weeks. But I want you to look at his face, get a good idea what he looks like. Look up there at that camera up there, Javi, because he will be a pivotal character in this new series coming out. So say hi, Javi.
How you doing, everybody?
Well, this is Javi. You'll know him as Easy Life in the chat usually, but he won't be chatting tonight. Look, that Troy's Gate thing, we have a number of spots available. We need a minimum of 12 students right now. I think we have 7 signed up. So get your deposit in before October. And look, if the events of this week don't convince you to get trained, I don't know what will. I get it. Money's tight. Believe me, I understand that. But if you're a member of a mutual assistance group, how about pull your resources together a little bit and send 1 or 2 of your key personnel there so they can bring that training back to you. Just a thought, okay? Makes it a little more palatable, right? So you won't regret it, I promise. Let's get on with it. Let's get on with Pete's opinion. And of course, this is my opinion. Okay, doesn't reflect Javi, doesn't reflect any of the sponsors, doesn't reflect anybody in the backgrounds clicking little buttons. This is Pete. These are my opinion on stuff. So if you don't like it, kick sand. I'm good with that. Go ahead and kick rocks down the road because you're going to hear a little bit more of this from me. Because quite frankly, I'm pissed off. We're going to talk about why. Because this week, a historic attempt to kill Donald Trump took place in Butler Township, okay, in Pennsylvania. What happened? In my opinion, a lone gunman outsmarted the Secret Service, and a lone gunman outsmarted local authorities, and came within millimeters of putting a round through Donald Trump's head on national TV, a la JFK style. But what the left failed to realize is that had that bullet hit the bullseye, like Mr. Biden alluded to, had it been 100 or had it been a half an inch to the right, America would be a different place right now. Okay, we would be engulfed by rage, and there would be things going on in this country right now that had never been seen before. I promise you that. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, especially once we get into kick. So what happened? Okay, in the hours and days since the attack, nearly every politician came out. They made calls for unity, tone down the rhetoric. How many times have you heard that? Or how about this one? Let's lower the political climate. But what we need to realize is all of that bullshit doesn't change their ideology. It doesn't change their hatred toward American democracy. It doesn't change their hatred toward our religion. It doesn't change their hatred toward uncontrolled speech. And yes, their hatred toward the nuclear family, the traditional American family. But let's see what they had to say just minutes after the assassination, just days after the assassination attempt, just hours after the assassination attempt. Let's see. And bear in mind, this is just a very small sample. I'll run it.
Guys are out here on the heels of the attempted Trump assassination. Can I get your reaction to what happened the other day?
Well, it's a shame the person missed, but it's ironic that the shooter was also a Republican, and I am scared about political violence.
You're scared of political violence, but you were hoping that he wouldn't have missed.
Yes.
Wow. Could you elaborate on that? I mean, many people are thankful that the shooter missed and could have led to a lot of conflict in the country.
Regardless if Trump is in power or not, he has a lot of influence, and that makes him a very dangerous person, and nothing will stop. And we want to live, and sometimes Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter that included one of my favorite quotes, that sometimes the tree of liberty needs to be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
Do you hope to see others also, if all that holds true, do you want to see others try what this young man tried at this Trump rally?
I don't know if it would do any good.
Okay, interesting, yeah. I see you have a crossbow over here. Can you tell me a little bit more about it and why you decided to bring it here? You have I don't know what it is. It looks like a crossbow.
Yeah, it's a pistol crossbow. I don't like firearms. This is a much safer alternative, and it's used only for personal defense as an absolute last resort.
Wow.
I hope I never have to use it.
Why did you feel compelled to bring it here? Do you feel unsafe?
Very much so. I'm absolutely terrified to be here.
I had one last question for you since it caught my eye. I see you have a hammer and sickle tattoo. Can you tell me more about this tattoo?
I was born in the Soviet Union.
Let's tone it down, they said. Javi's looking at the at the chat. He's getting a kick out of you guys. Let's tone it down, they said, guys. Let's lower the temperature. Does that sound like they want to lower the temperature? No, because the ideology still stands. The politicians certainly want to lower the political temperature. They certainly want to tone it down. That's easy to say when your attack failed. It's easy to say, whoa, let's tone it down, guys. Sorry. It reminds me of when Hamas, after they attacked Israel, once they saw how enraged Israel became and the storm that was coming their way, they somehow convinced the entire world that they should have a ceasefire. How did they say, Pete, you can't, don't compare the Democrats to Hamas. Don't do that, right? But guess what? That's what I just did. Because the Socialist Democratic Party has the same ideology as any other terrorist organization. Dehumanize your enemy. Silence your enemy. Jail your enemy. And when all else fails, kill your enemy. Communists have been doing it for decades. These politicians don't want to tone down the rhetoric for the good of the nation. They want to tone it down because they fear retaliation. They got caught. That's why they want to tone it down. Their rhetoric led us to where we're at now. So, hey, guys, let's tone it down. Hamas attacks Israel. So, whoa, let's tone it down, guys. Let's tone it down. You guys are really heavy-handed here. Let's tone it down. Let's not go into Gaza. We have innocent civilians here. Guess what? We have innocent civilians. We had a firefighter sitting in the crowd who just went to a rally and got a bullet in his skull in front of his family. Let's tone it down. We got to lower the political climate. Come on. So they're going to continue their hatred toward us, even though they said tone it down. That rhetoric will continue. Social media is still full of it right now from their soldiers. And I know, look, you look at that lady there. She had a little mask on with her crossbow. That's one of their soldiers. That's one of their indoctrinated soldiers. Doesn't look like it, but that's exactly what it is. So, let me slow down, Javi. I'm getting a little worked up here.
Yes.
Can you tell? I'm getting a little worked up. What's funny is that some people would say, you know, we're in the beginning stages of a war. Bullshit. We've been in a war. We're already in a war. They're just the ones fighting it, and we're the ones with our heads stuck in the sand. They've been spewing this rhetoric easily for 6, 7, 8 years. And we sit back and we turn the other cheek. Had that been the other party that they took a swipe at, there would be rioting in the streets, there would be looting, and buildings would be burned down. That didn't happen one time after that assassination attempt, because we're different people. But at some point, we got to stop turning the proverbial other cheek, because they're not going to stop. They're just going to do it silently now. Okay? And that's just the way it is. So it's about time we recognize who our enemy is. Look, our enemy is not Joe Biden. Our enemy is not Nancy Pelosi or any of the other politicians out there. Our enemy is the ideology that is the radical Democratic Party. Let's run video 2.
They're dressed to look just like President Donald Trump as he's assassinated on stage. Look as his character is stabbed to death. And there's no mistaking the Trump connection. Check out the unbuttoned overcoat and red tie that hangs over his waist. It's a staging of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar that is outraging many.
The controversial production is taking place here in New York City's Central Park. The staging is being seen as a direct jab at Trump.
Oh, let me get this back here. Sorry, guys. Absolutely, this rhetoric, and that's just an example. Again, of the rhetoric that's led us to where we are at right now. But let's talk about the conspiracies. It would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form if this whole thing turned out to be an inside job. But this is what I warn you. This is what I want to warn you against. To immediately get sidetracked with that takes our eyes off the capabilities of our enemy. Don't think that a 20-year-old indoctrinated youth is not capable of doing what he did the other day. They are very capable. Do not underestimate them. And they are willing to do exactly what they tried to do 6 days ago. Don't let the theories take away from the actual facts. Not yet. There'll be a time for that, but not right now. I'm going to play one more video, guys. And then I know I only went 15 minutes on traditional platforms, but I'm going to play one more video for you. And then we're going to take an intermission and go to Kick, because I want to hear from you guys. I want to tell you some other things. I want to hear from you guys what your theories are, what your thoughts are, what your ideas for. Well, I want to know. Well, first of all, let me back up. Let me calm down, Javi. I want to know what you guys thought about the RNC. All right, let's talk about good stuff. And I want to know a whole bunch of other stuff on what your feelings are. And we're going to use Kick to vent. All right, and bring me what you think about your theories, what you've heard, and I'll give you my opinion on that. Again, I am not dismissing any conspiracy out there. We've seen too many. And you know what I say about coincidences. They don't exist. So I'm going to play this last video, and then we're going to pop into intermission. Let's run it.
And their trajectory that struck 3 people at the Trump rally on July 13th, 2024. This is the area we're going to focus in on. Here you can see the 3 victims that were injured by gunfire and where they were standing in the bleachers. We're going to turn around and demonstrate exactly where these bullets came from. This model represents Thomas Crooks. His position can be seen here in this image, which illustrates exactly where he was. Turning around, we can see the path of all the bullets that were fired from this location. I placed a 10-foot red disc downrange to represent what an average shooter could hit easily. Now let's take a look at this first shot fired. Coming from our key location, bullet 1 grazes President Trump's ear. This is the same bullet that hits a spectator in the stands. We know this through video evidence. As President Trump is talking, the first shot rings out just after he says, "Take a look at what happened."
Something that said, "Take a look what happened."
We can see the vapor trail of a bullet strike, which is the same bullet that struck President Trump's ear a split second earlier, and this video is this location here. Back at the podium, President Trump is shot and grabs his ear, falling to the ground as more shots rang out. In total, there were 7 or 8 shots, so let's rewind and watch this at regular speed.
Take a look at what happened.
With all that gunfire, it's easy to understand how these spectators were injured, even though they were not the target, including the sole spectator who lost his life that day. As we circle around, we can see how all the paths of the bullets were hitting in the location of this forklift machine, causing one of the hydraulic hoses to burst.